Greetings, YouTube, and welcome to an episode of my channel where Mr. Negative is Mr. Wrong. Because in the last 2 hours, I did a video after a couple of subscribers who play in lower tiers of Alliance War. We're talking about silver, maybe some gold, but certainly nothing close to platinum. Talked about how they were thankful that we were going to get more loyalty and that those potions were going to become cheaper with the loyalty proposed. And also, I think this is what people are mainly excited about, getting more loyalty in general flowing into the game, particularly with the win or loss of loyalty rewards. And I still think, to be fair, that's an important change in the game, to get more loyalty regardless of whether or not you win or lose a Alliance War. I think that is pro player, and my thoughts stay on that. But I have heard from those of you in the live streams tonight, behind the scenes, those of you who have watched KT's new awesome math breakdown video, as to why you don't think these are overall pro player changes at all. You think these are Kabam being sly and, dare I say, even deceptive, because they're talking about all these positives, but they're taking away still what you really relied upon, especially you free-to-play players who are looking at me, slapping me in the face and saying, "Prof, you don't get it. This isn't pro player. We're not going to be able to do Alliance War after these changes go into effect because we're not going to be able to afford when we get wrecked." And so maybe that's going to cause some free-to-play players who are playing in Platinum to go to Gold 3. I don't know. Fujitac here has said, it's not absolutely trash, but it's 100% for those who actually care about Alliance War. And I do find that there are some people who just care about doing the minimum amount of Alliance Wars, which is what, about 5, and getting those rewards. But if Alliance War is the reason why you still play this game, and maybe you're a casual spender, maybe you're free to play, it's not great. What I've also been told, as Ryan Veda said, Kabam Passive Aggressive wrote this. What I've also been told is that people have been trying to comment their displeasure about this. And part of the reason why I'm not realizing more sooner that there is such a big pushback to these newer changes is that Kabam has deleted essentially every comment or thread that says that this is a bad thing, especially after KT's video, because they're trying to control the narrative that this is a good thing. And again, maybe for some people, this is a good thing, but it's also clear that for quite a few people, it's not. And I also think it's worth noting that Kabam is basically saying, hey, we're going to finally give you a little bit of what you're asking for, but in response to this, we are going to end the compensation. Because you can see the message at the top of the screen. However, right now, the vast majority of healing in Alliance War is done using potions that are received through the weekly compensation messages, with many players selling leftover potions weekly, including those in the top tiers of Alliance War. And so, the phrase, including those in the top tiers of Alliance War, I bet you Kabam is saying that because they're passive-aggressively saying, we're used to getting a lot more money off of the top tiers of Alliance Wars, because before compensation, when the game quote-unquote worked as intended, they were spending units, they were swiping those credit cards, and now we're trying to get that top tiers of Alliance War money back, but it looks like it's too late. It looks like it's too late. And Todd Huffiness is relaying the communication that Alliance War in general is terrible for free-to-play players, and it will cause people to not be able to be free-to-play players and play at the highest levels of Alliance War. Maybe they can play in the lower golds, but maybe not anymore in the lower platinums. Certainly the masters, if that even was a thing before. I also think that this is going to add so much stress to people who can't afford the potions and anxiety when they go into their paths, that the reason why I walked away from Alliance War in the first place was because I literally had my hands shaking before the paths. I remember just how anxious I was. And there were a couple times where I had nightmares that my entire alliance kicked me out because I couldn't do the fights. And I woke up and I was like, this is not helping my life. This is not going to be good for me. And so I walked away. Whaler does give a good counter argument saying, I'm sorry, but Alliance War compensation packages are new. Alliance War existed before the compensation packages. And that is true. I do think what's maybe happened is that free-to-play players or maybe casual spenders have been able to push themselves to play at a higher Alliance War level than they were since the compensation packages, because they didn't have to worry about spending as much units or glory or loyalty on potions and revives. And now that they are signaling an end to the compensation packages, and in general the cost of potions and revives are going to go up, particularly with the glory store changes, people don't want to go back to where they were playing beforehand, or they just want things to remain the same. So I get both sides of the argument. What I wanted to do was make this video for those of you that felt that my previous video, where I talked about mainly the feedback I'd received from people who, given weren't playing at the top tiers of Alliance War, were saying that they were happy with these changes, and that certainly wasn't what a lot of you felt. And I think it's important to say, not that I think I'm speaking for all players, because obviously I'm not when I say that this is a totally bad thing, but I do think at the top of Alliance War, this is giving especially low spenders and free-to-play players a chance to feel like they just can never, ever join those tiers because they can't afford the cost when they get wrecked. And that's assuming that the game is actually working as intended when they get wrecked, because of course, if the game lags or you crash during Alliance War and you get the kill, the KO, that's also going to come into effect. And I still think there's a lot of people watching this right now on Android devices that are older, and maybe even some older iPhones. I know people who are still playing on iPhone 6s, that even with the fix to the game, their phones are still becoming old enough and obsolete enough to where this game may still give them major problems. And I don't know if that's anybody's fault per se. I just know it's a reality from the feedback that I've received. So I also have to mention this before we end this video. This is coming still on the last month, where we have a record amount of rank 4 6-stars coming into all sorts of tiers of Alliance War, which means bigger attack pools and certainly bigger health pools. And so Alliance War defenders are going to be more difficult than ever before because of this factor to take down. And we're a couple weeks away from spring cleaning. We know last year with spring cleaning that people had better rank up chances for taking 6 stars to rank 3 and even awakening 6 stars by targeting awakening gems. And so I would imagine that it's going to be that and then some for Thronebreaker players, maybe even Cavalier players by the end of the month. So thank you for those of you who said I was wrong and I needed to speak for other tiers, from free-to-play players to the top tiers of Alliance War. I'm not saying that this video, like the last video, represents everybody's thoughts. I'm just saying it represents some people's thoughts that weren't represented in my previous video, and it's important to try to talk about both sides of the community, not telling you what side to take. You know, I don't do Alliance War, and so especially for this video, I rely on your feedback most importantly. Thanks to everybody who sent feedback in. I look forward to hearing how it goes this week, especially since they targeted the date in this post for Wednesday, April 13th.